Are racing against the clock to pass President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure bill. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the chamber will come back into session this morning as it awaits the actual text of the legislation, which is still being finalized. This comes as the bipartisan bill clears a major hurdle on the road toward the president's desk. In a procedural vote yesterday, the majority of the Senate, from both sides of the aisle, signaled its support for the legislation that would put billions toward the country's physical infrastructure like roads, bridges, and public transit. Schumer says the chamber's on track to pass both this bipartisan deal and the budget resolution that Democrats are pushing for in order to begin working on their separate $3.5 trillion package before the upcoming Senate recess. And that's a good thing because now progressive Democrats in the House are saying they won't consider the smaller bipartisan infrastructure bill unless the Senate also passes the budget reconciliation one, the much bigger bill. With me now is Democratic Congressman Hank Johnson of Georgia. He's a member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure and Judiciary Committees. Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thanks for being with us. Tell me how you see this unfolding. We've got bipartisan support for the part of the bill that you would have assumed we had bipartisan support for, the fixing of roads, bridges, public transport. We've got some problems on the much bigger bill that Democrats are very interested in.
Well, I tell you, thank you for having me this morning, Velshi, Ali. And I think the fact that Democrats control the House and the Senate, although that control is very slight, we do have the ability to deliver for the American people. We already delivered the American Rescue Plan, which lifted our economy from the doldrums of another great recession. And we injected money into this economy, which got people back to work, got our children back to school safely, or at least gives them a chance of returning to school safely now, and put money in people's pockets. And made an initial investment to rebuild America. But at this time in the nation's history, we can't afford to just go back to the same old, the way it was. We've got to build America back better. And so the American Jobs Plan and the American Families Plan, both of which have been introduced and will be incorporated in a budget reconciliation bill that the Senate and the House will take up, will do just that. Will rebuild America. And it's so important that we restructure our economy so that this economy will work for us all, not just for the top 1% as it did during the tax cut era that we've been involved in for the last 50 years. And then that tax cut era has resulted in a decline by 40% of in public investment into America. So we have to start investing in America. And guess who pays for it? It's those who got that $5.8 trillion tax cut back in 2017 and didn't need it.
Congressman, you are from Georgia. I want to ask you about the things that are going on in Georgia right now. We're watching Texas this morning, where there's going to be a march that culminates in Austin, protesting the restrictive voter rights. But what we've been looking at in Georgia is something entirely different. Something, by the way, you got arrested for. You were one of the people participating in this summer of action. They are looking at taking the elections chief in Fulton County, Atlanta, and replacing them. Which is not something you can organize around, right? There's a lot of things that are happening across the country that people can organize around in terms of fewer ballot boxes or less time to vote. What they're talking about in Georgia is the ability to basically overturn elections, to control elections that you don't like the outcome of.
They're setting up an infrastructure to destroy the vote in America. They're doing it quite publicly. Everyone can see it. Some in denial about what they're doing, but our job now is to awaken the American people to the threat that exists to the democracy that all of us live up under. It's not just black people now. It's brown people, it's white people, it's Asians. All of us live in this country. All of us have a fundamental right to vote. And if that right to vote goes away for any segment of us, then it means the others don't have a democracy either. And so it's important now for all people to take some action to force the United States Senate to come to grips with the fact that we're going to have to enact some measures to protect the vote. And to the extent that the filibuster impedes the Senate's ability to deal with this threat to our vote, then that filibuster has to go. And so it has a racist origin, and it's been used for racial purposes to deny Black people of our civil rights. And it's something that has to go away insofar as at least constitutional issues like voting rights are concerned. They've done it for issues of the budget. They've abandoned the filibuster when it comes to judicial appointments. And those measures don't have to go through that 60-vote threshold requirement. And voting rights is something that doesn't need to be going through it either.
Congressman, good to see you this morning. Thank you for joining us. Democratic Congressman Hank Johnson of Georgia. And as we said, we're moving over to Texas now.